20th of December 1943. 27,000 feet. The air temperature is a brutal negative 60 degrees Celsius. Inside the rattling aluminum skin of the B-17F, serial number 423167, named Ye Old Pub, the cold is a physical enemy. Its pilot, 21-year-old Second Lieutenant Charles Charlie Brown, is fighting for consciousness. Sight start, his right shoulder is saturated, sight 15. The cockpit windscreen is shattered. Wind screams through the fuselage. Below them, visible through breaks in the clouds, is the North Sea. They are alone. The mission, a daylight raid on the Focke-Wulf aircraft factory in Bremen, Germany, has been a disaster. Ye Old Pub, assigned to the 527th Bombardment Squadron, took the brunt of the Luftwaffe attack. The nose cone is pulverized. Sight start, the tail gunner. Sergeant Hugh Eckenrode is gone. Sight 3, his compartment destroyed by cannon fire. The port engines are failing. The hydraulic systems are drained, the radio is dead, and the oxygen system is intermittent. Brown's bomber is a sieve, a flying coffin. He holds the yoke, fighting the controls as the plane lurches, a bleeding giant trying to crawl home. But they are still 250 miles from their base in England. The unresolved problem is the plane itself. It is a ghost, already dead, but somehow still flying. Brown glances out his shattered cockpit window. His co-pilot, Spencer Pinky Luke, is slumped over, fighting to stay awake. Sight start. The remaining crew are wounded, sight 15, huddled in the fuselage, tending to each other in the frigid, deafening chaos. They are losing altitude, dropping from the relative safety of the bomber box, which has long since vanished. Now, they are prey. Brown's vision tunnels. Flak had punched holes in the wings. Fighter passes had shredded the rudder. And then, he sees it. A flicker of movement. Not another B-17, not the welcome shape of an Allied P-51 Mustang. It is small, grey, and shark-like. It emerges from the cloud bank, sliding into position off the B-17's right wing, no more than 20 feet away. A Messerschmitt Bf-109, the deadliest interceptor in the Luftwaffe's arsenal. Brown's heart stops. This is it, the end. The German pilot is so close, Brown can see him clearly. He is not firing. He is not maneuvering for a kill. He is simply there. Flying formation. His canopy is clean, his gaze level. Sight how start, Brown through his own pain, sight 14 in confusion, can only stare back. The German pilot raises a gloved hand. He gestures, points. The mystery is not of an enemy, but of an action. Why isn't he shooting? What he didn't know was that this singular silent encounter would redefine the very meaning of honor in a sky defined by death. The air war of late 1943 is a brutal calculus of industrial attrition. The American 8th Air Force operates on a grim strategic theory: unescorted, high-altitude, daylight precision bombing. The belief, championed by the bomber mafia at the Air Corps Tactical School, is that heavily armed bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress can defend themselves. They are wrong. The Luftwaffe is defending its homeland with a savagery born of desperation. The German Reichsverteidigung, defense of the Reich system, is lethal. Experienced Gruppen of FW-190s and Bf-109s have perfected the head-on attack, firing 20mm cannons directly into the thin armor of the bomber's cockpit and nose. The raid on Bremen, 20th of December 1943, is Mission 165 for the 8th Air Force. It is a maximum effort. Hundreds of bombers are sent. But the weather is poor. The bomber groups become scattered, their protective combat boxes disintegrating. This is what the Jagdflieger, fighter pilots, wait for. A single isolated bomber is not a fortress. It is a target. Field reports from the Luftflotte Reich on this day are clinical. Target: dispersed 4-engine bombers. Interception successful. Heavy losses inflicted. For the crews of the 8th Air Force, every mission is a purple heart box. The odds of completing a 25-mission tour are statistically abysmal. Sight-start men are lost, not just to enemy fire, but to frostbite, oxygen failure, and the paralyzing psychological stress, sight 14 of the flak-filled skies. Statistics are sterile. The reality inside the B-17 is not. The human cost of the daylight bombing campaign is measured in decibels, frostbite, and blood. It is the smell of cordite, oil, and ozone. It is the sound of the 50 caliber machine guns firing, a rhythmic thud that is the only reassurance against the black puffs of flak exploding outside. The flak, the German Flugabwehrkanone, is an impersonal killer. A direct hit can vaporize a wing. But the fighters are personal. The crews watch as sister ships, planes they ate breakfast with, simply explode. The B-17 is unpressurized. At 27,000 feet, the temperature plummets. Any exposed skin freezes solid in seconds. Gunners, their hands locked to their weapons, fight off agonizing frostbite. Sight, your start. The oxygen masks, often frozen, are their lifeline. To remove one, even for a moment, is to invite anoxia, a creeping, drunken unconsciousness that precedes death, Sight 3. Morale is a fragile thing, maintained by grim humor and a fatalistic acceptance of the odds. The flak houses, where crews are debriefed, are filled with 1,000-yard stares. Men write letters home knowing they are for their next of kin. This is the context of the war. It is a realm of total dehumanizing conflict. There is no quarter asked and none given. Experts in command agreed, survival in a crippled plane, alone over enemy territory, was impossible. It couldn't be done. If these moments of battlefield humanity intrigue you, stay with us. The story of Ye Old Pub is far from over. He is Second Lieutenant Charles Charlie Brown, a young, determined pilot from western West Virginia, by way of Texas. He is new to the war. Ye Old Pub is his first command, and this is his first combat mission. He is not an ace. He is a novice tasked with the most dangerous job in the world. He is responsible for 9 other men, his pigs, a crew that had trained together, drank together, and now faced oblivion together. Brown is a product of the massive American training pipeline, competent, brave, but unprepared for the sheer scale of violence he is now witnessing. He is an engineer by trade, a pragmatist. His focus is on the dials, the engines, the physics of keeping his shattered machine airborne. Sight what he start. He is driven by a singular, desperate need. Get his crew home. Sight. 5. The man watching him from the other cockpit is his opposite, Oberleutnant Franz Stigler, a veteran Luftwaffe, expert or ace. He is 28 years old, but in the compressed time frame of the air war, he is an old man. He has been flying since 1937, a student of the legendary Werner Mulders. Stigler is not a Nazi fanatic. He is a professional soldier, a Bavarian who sees flying as a craft. His brother, also a Luftwaffe pilot, was lost earlier in the war. Stigler lives by a code, one instilled by his mentors. Honor is everything. He has been told by Mulders himself, "If I ever see or hear of you shooting at a man in a parachute, I will fly up and shoot you down myself." This code is about to be tested. Stigler is on the ground at a Luftwaffe airfield near Bremen when Ye Olde Pub limps overhead. He has just landed his Bf 109 G6, its ammunition spent and fuel low after a brutal engagement with the bomber stream. He is being rearmed when he sees the lone B-17 flying impossibly low and slow, heading for the coast. He has 29 confirmed victories. One more will earn him the Ritterkreuz, the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest military honor. This is an easy kill. He takes off, he climbs, closing the distance in minutes. He lines up for the kill, his thumb on the trigger. But something is wrong. He sees no defensive fire. The tail guns are silent. He pulls closer. He sees the devastation. Sight start. The tail gunner's station is gone. Sight 3. Shiny start. He can see men inside the fuselage, clearly wounded. Sight 15. He flies past the wing, seeing the gaping holes, the shattered engines. He pulls level with the cockpit. He sees Charlie Brown, barely conscious, fighting the controls. He sees the terror and confusion in the American's eyes. The crazy idea forms. This is no longer combat. This is an execution. This is a man in a parachute, and he thinks. He remembers his brother. He remembers the code. The conflict is immediate. His duty to the Reich, his oath, the Knight's Cross, versus his conscience. To shoot this plane down, he would later recall, would be the same as murder. He makes his decision. He will not shoot. Sighter start. He will try to save them. Sight 11. The test is not of a machine, but of humanity. The preparation is a silent, desperate pantomime across the 20-foot gap of frozen air. Stigler, now an unlikely shepherd, knows the B-17 is flying deeper into German-controlled airspace. Worse, they are approaching the massive coastal flak batteries. These batteries are manned by crews who will not hesitate. They will see a B-17 and they will fire. Stigler's new ally is his enemy, Charlie Brown, in sight in start. But Brown is wounded, sight 15 and disoriented. Stigler gestures frantically. He points down towards the ground. He is trying to tell Brown to land at a German airfield. Land! Land the plane! Brown is confused. Is it a trap? Is the German mocking him? Stigler tries again. He gestures towards Sweden, a neutral country, a long flight across the sea. He points to the B-17's compass, trying to indicate a change of course. Brown is too focused on survival, on the single vector home to England, to understand. Sight, start. The environment is a third character, the vibrating, freezing air. The howl of the wind through the B-17's wound, sight 4. The rhythmic thrum of Stigler's Daimler-Benz engine. Stigler sees Brown's incomprehension. He knows he cannot force him to land. He makes another choice. If the American will not land, he will escort him. The critical moment arrives. They are approaching the coastal gun emplacements of the Flak Regiment 22Qs. This is the test. Stigler sees the black dots of the gun pits below. He knows the crews are tracking this lone, low-flying bomber. He maneuvers his Bf-109. He flies on the landward side of the B-17, tucking his wing almost under the bombers. The visual is one of shocking impossibility. A German fighter, markings stark and clear, flying in perfect formation with an American enemy. The flak crews on the ground are confused. A report comes in, single B-17, under escort by Bf-109. The gun commander hesitates. Is it a capture? Is the Luftwaffe pilot escorting a surrendered plane? Firing risks hitting their own pilot. The hesitation is all Stigler needs. The guns remain silent. They pass through the first and most dangerous flak zone. They are over the North Sea. The first impossible test is passed. Stigler has used his identity as the enemy to become a shield. He pulls up one last time, level with Brown's cockpit. He has done all he can. He gives a final slow salute. Brown, stunned, watches as the German pilot peels his fighter away, back toward the continent, back toward his war. Hours later, a miracle wrapped in aluminum and prayer. Ye Old Pub crash lands at RAF Seething, the 448th Bomb Group's base. The landing is a controlled disaster. The plane breaks its back on the runway. The crew is pulled from the wreckage, astonished to be alive. The confrontation begins. At the debriefing, a weary and wounded Charlie Brown sits before his intelligence officer. He recounts the mission, the raid, the fighters, the devastation, and then the impossible part. We were escorted by a German fighter. The room goes silent. The officer stares at him. Lieutenant, you've been through a lot. You're suffering from anoxia, shock. Brown insists. I saw him. He saluted me. The officer's skepticism is total. This is not how the war is fought. It's classified, the officer finally says. You will not speak of this again to anyone. Brown's defense is his own certainty, but it is dismissed. The official report lists the mission as a simple return from combat. Sight start. Brown is ordered to silence, his hallucination a symptom of combat fatigue. Sight 14. The event is buried, deemed too bizarre, too subversive to the narrative of total war. Brown's crew is ordered to silence, but they know what they saw. Franz Stigler lands his Bf-109 back at his base, the adrenaline of the encounter fading, replaced by a cold dread. The real test is now. He must face his own command. His commanding officer, Oberst Gustav Siegfried Rödel, is waiting. Stigler is a Staffelkapitän. He must account for his flight, his fuel, his ammunition. He reports his initial engagement, but then, what? He cannot say, I found a crippled B-17 and let it go. He cannot say, I guided it through our own flak defences. Sight start. That is high treason. Sight 8. The penalty is a firing squad. This is his combat. He must fight for his life and for the secret. He looks at his CO. The bomber. It was hit. Badly. It went down into the North Sea. He lies. It is a lie of omission, a lie that saves his life but costs him his ambition. He will never mention the encounter. He will never claim the Knight's Cross that was within his grasp. He has passed the test, but the cost is his silence. Sight start. He has chosen his humanity over his career. Sight 10. His honor over his orders. The war continues and Stigler files the memory away. A private defining moment that he can never share. The war ends in 1945. Charlie Brown returns to the United States, his military career continuing in the new Air Force. But he is haunted. He is haunted by the face of the German pilot. Was he real, or was the debriefing officer right? Sight start. Was it a collective hallucination born of trauma? Sight 14. He begins a quiet search. He asks other pilots. He writes letters, but the fog of war is thick. The legacy of the event is one of silence and doubt. Franz Stigler's life is upended. The Luftwaffe is disbanded. He struggles to find work in post-war Germany, his past as an ace a liability. In 1953, he emigrates to Canada, settling in Vancouver, British Columbia. He becomes a successful businessman. He tells no one, not his wife, not his friends, about the B-17 he did not shoot down. For nearly 40 years, the event exists in two separate, isolated memories. Two men, thousands of miles apart, are the sole custodians of a shared secret. Brown retires in 1972. His search becomes more desperate. He wants validation. He must know. In 1986, Charlie Brown, now retired, places an advertisement in a newsletter for former Luftwaffe fighter pilots. The ad is small, a shot in the dark. It asks a simple question. I am searching for the man who saved my life on 20th of December 1943. In 1990, in his home in Canada, Franz Stigler sees the ad. He is stunned. He writes a letter. I was the pilot. A phone call is arranged. Brown in America picks up the phone. Stigler in Canada speaks. I am the one. They talk, they cry, they meet. Their reunion is not one of former enemies, but of brothers. They become inseparable friends, fishing together, traveling together, speaking to audiences about their story. They remain friends until their deaths, both in 2008, just months apart. The legacy is no longer about war. It's about a connection that transcends it. The universal message is clear. Even in the depths of our most profound conflicts, the enemy has a face. The choice to destroy is always present, but so is the choice to preserve. That single, defiant act of decency, a salute between two enemies in the frozen sky, echoes today, a silent witness to the fact that our shared humanity is the most powerful force on earth. Every great idea begins as an act of defiance against impossibility. What impossible ideas do you think could change the world?